This just in and posted to our H&N digital platforms. The Maui Pro competition is on hold due to a shark incident involving a recreational surfer at Honolulu Bay. This according to the World Surf League. The WSL CEO made the announcement in a video post on social media.
Good morning. Unfortunate news over on Maui. We had a shark incident this morning with a recreational surfer. Due to that, we are putting our event on hold indefinitely. We'll have more information as it goes as we continue to work with local officials and authorities on the status. Our thoughts and prayers are obviously with this victim, and we'll keep you updated. But for now, the event is on an indefinite hold.
We just got these pictures in from the DLNR. The agency reports that the victim is a man between 50 and 60 years old, and he was paddling out from the old ramp in the bay. We'll continue to follow this breaking story and bring you any developments as they come in.
Hey everyone, thanks for watching. This is now Ashley and Jonathan here. We have so much news to cover today, but let's start with the latest numbers from the State Department of Health. Health officials are reporting 53 new COVID-19 cases today and no new deaths. The breakdown shows 5 cases on the Big Island, 39 on Oahu, 6 on Maui, and 3 on Molokai. Meanwhile, state officials say another change is coming to the Safe Travels program. More on that in just a moment. But it's not the change the county mayors are asking for. All of Hawaii's mayors have sent a proposal to Governor Ige requiring a second test once trans-Pacific travelers land in Hawaii. That's according to Kauai Mayor Derek Kawakami. Here's what Hawaii County Mayor Mitch Roth had to say about the situation today.
Hawaii Island is the only island at this point that has a mandatory post-arrival test for trans-Pacific travelers. I know it hasn't been long, but is there any way to indicate how effective it's been to this point?
Well, it seems to be very effective. I think they've caught about a case every day. I mean, it's a lot of money for what we're getting, but the Safe Travels together with that, I think, has been very effective.
Governor Ige, and I know you're working with the other mayors to have this mandated across the other islands. Governor Ige says the state wouldn't be able to process all the tests if it were mandatory across the board. Do you think that it could work?
Well, quite frankly, we're going to have to reassess. As of December 15th, a lot of the funds we're using to take care of this test are coming from CARES, and the personnel costs are going to come to an end. By December 31st, the cost for the testing is also going to come to an end. So we're reassessing what's going to happen next week, because if we can't afford to pay for it, then we may have to drop the mandatory second test.
Again, the governor has not approved the proposal for a statewide post-arrival testing plan. As Steve just mentioned, the governor says it all comes down to the state's testing capacity.
I'm not willing to let tourists take away tests that we need for our residents who are symptomatic and really need to be tested. The program is working as we expected. We are getting COVID positive travelers here, and we've been able to manage that.
The governor says the state can process anywhere between 5,000 to 8,000 tests per day. And we have some breaking news regarding the quarantine for trans-Pacific travelers. Here's what Major General Hara, the incident commander for the state, had to say about that just a short time ago.
The big change to the Safe Travels in the next emergency proclamation, you'll see change from 14-day quarantine to 10 days. And basically that was based off the CDC guidance that we recently received.
Honolulu Mayor Kirk Caldwell also chimed in on this discussion today at a press conference.
We have to enforce quarantine against right now about 20,000 people on the island. There's a lot of people to enforce quarantine against. And so less time in quarantine means we can enforce better. And we do know from studies that those places that enforce quarantine see the number of cases much lower. So we're trying to balance the two, health with the reality of how effective can we be in enforcement. And if people know we're not enforcing, they're not going to comply with quarantine.
Health experts say the current COVID surge may be the result of millions of Americans ignoring warnings about holiday travel and gatherings. Now they're pleading again for people to stay put this Christmas. Danya Bacchus has more.
The FDA released a positive review of Pfizer's vaccine Tuesday, saying it is strongly protective against COVID-19 and appears safe.
This vaccine actually was tested even because of the scrutiny with even higher standards in terms of how we do things.
Thursday, during a live debate, a group of independent experts will go over the FDA's findings and vote on whether to recommend the vaccine. An emergency use authorization could follow. The White House held a vaccine summit Tuesday to discuss the government's evaluation process and distribution. Vaccine executives were invited, but both Pfizer and Moderna declined. President Trump kicked off the indoor event.
Nobody thought it was even remotely possible to do what we've done in a period of less than 9 months.
Cases of coronavirus in the U.S. account for a third of all cases worldwide. Here in California, hospitals are at 80% capacity, and most of the state is under a 3-week lockdown.
The epidemic in the U.S. is punishing. It's widespread. It's quite frankly shocking, to see 1 to 2 persons a minute die in the U.S.
In St. Paul, Minnesota, Dr. Benji Matthews says his hospital is stretched thin.
This patient over here is prone on a ventilator, having a feeding tube in place.
The Kentucky State House has a wreath to honor the more than 2,000 residents who've died from COVID. Robert Perry Jr. is among them. Family members say they begged him to wear a mask.
And he said, if the Lord allows me to get through this, I'll never leave home without wearing a mask again. It took that trip to the hospital and what he was going through to finally realize COVID is real.
Perry was 56 years old. Danya Bacchus, CBS News, Los Angeles.
American Airlines is going to offer at-home testing for passengers taking domestic flights if their destination has COVID-related travel restrictions. The vendor for the service is called Let's Get Checked, and the airline says the average turnaround time is 48 hours and the cost is $129. For those wondering, Let's Get Checked is not an approved trusting partner for the state of Hawaii. American is one of several U.S. carriers currently offering testing options for travelers flying overseas.
It's being called V-Day in the UK as a mass vaccination program gets underway. Tina Krause has the very latest from London.
British grandmother Maggie Keenan is the first person in the world to receive the Pfizer vaccine against COVID-19. She turns 91 next week and says it's the best early birthday gift she's ever received.
So wonderful, really. Yes.
The UK's first 800,000 doses are going to the most vulnerable, hospital and nursing home workers and the elderly.
Oh.
Like 98-year-old Jack. The vaccine is given in 2 doses, 21 days apart. British officials call the mass immunizations a light at the end of a very dark tunnel.
It's amazing to see this tremendous shot in the arm for the entire nation, but we can't afford to relax now.
Britain is the hardest hit country in Europe with more than 61,000 deaths from the coronavirus, one of the highest in the world per capita, even higher than the U.S. The UK has secured 40 million doses of the Pfizer vaccine, enough for 20 million people. The U.S. has an order in for 100 million doses, pending FDA approval. British officials admit they face huge logistical challenges in rolling out the vaccine nationwide. While hospitals are first to give the shots, vaccine points will eventually be set up in parking lots, sports stadiums, even race courses. After self-isolating for most of 2020, Maggie is thankful the vaccine will allow her to see her family again in the new year. Tina Krause, CBS News, London.
An annual fireworks show will not ring in the new year. The 2021 Waikiki fireworks display has been canceled. The Waikiki Improvement Association says the show was called off due to 2020 pandemic-imposed restrictions.
A council committee advanced a plan to start looking for a group to fix up and operate the Haiku Stairs. Our Jolani Martinez has the update.
Although the Haiku Stairs has been off limits for decades, one Kaneohe resident we spoke with says it's not stopping hikers from reaching the top. She says she scolded a hiker just yesterday.
And he stood right here in my yard and started taking pictures.
Glorianne De Los Reyes Skaggs has been living near one of the access points to Haiku Stairs for the last 10 years. Although hikers have been cited for trespassing, De Los Reyes Skaggs says they continue to be a nuisance in her neighborhood.
And it's very upsetting. You know, we have people coming that parks in our in front of our house, our homes, and leave their trash, or use our neighbors' hoses to wash themselves off.
In the first step to reopening the stairs, the city acquired the land and wants a company or a nonprofit to take over responsibility for repairs, which would cost about $1 million plus maintenance and security. That group would make its money back by charging entry fees for the next 12 years.
We don't usually go into 12-year lease agreements, especially for a property that's under the jurisdiction of the Department of Parks and Recreation. We have a lot of issues within the DPR just dealing with issues that are public parks. So this is a very different type of solicitation.
The city is willing to, as soon as the solicitation is out and in play, but before any conditional award is made, go back into the community, and at that point in time we can answer very specific questions about the bid.
The resolution also includes guided hikes, a plan Friends of Haiku Stairs support.
Reopening the stairs would be a boost for the many local people who have been particularly patient, waiting for decades to climb the stairs legally. It would also be a wonderful opportunity to provide a truly unique attraction for visitors as tourism in Hawaii is rebuilt following COVID-19.
But with multiple rescues and trespassing hikers leaving messes, De Los Reyes Skaggs wants the trailhead away from residential areas.
I kind of want to know, where's the starting point? Is it right here in my neighborhood? You know, are they going to have a designated area where these drivers are going to go and park in a different area?
The committee kept the proposal alive, but the final decision will likely be left to the incoming mayor and a new majority on the city council. If approved, the reopening wouldn't happen for several years. Jolani Martinez, Hawaii News Now.
Today marks 40 years since one of the greatest tragedies to hit the music world, the death of John Lennon. Michael George looks back on the day and the legacy Lennon left behind.
Fans of John Lennon came together at the memorial in Central Park known as Strawberry Fields.
One of the greatest artists, philosophers, humanitarians.
Some of these fans were also right here on that tragic night 40 years ago when the Beatles legend was gunned down outside his apartment at the age of 40.
Came here at night with a big crowd of people and sang songs and cried. Very sad day I'll never forget.
I was, driving along a road and a song came on and it just hit me. And the tears started flowing.
Charles Rosenay is a Beatles expert who published a magazine about the band. He says Lennon was one of the most influential musicians of all time, but his death transcended music.
What we lost that night was not the killing of one rock star. What we lost is somebody who till today would have probably given us great insight.
Lennon's widow, Yoko Ono, marked the day, tweeting that his death was a hollowing experience and that she and his sons still miss him. And former Beatle Paul McCartney tweeted, "A sad, sad day, but remembering my friend John with the great joy he brought to the world."
Imagine all the people.
And even 40 years later, John Lennon's legacy lives on. Fans like Mike Egan say his music and his message of peace are timeless.
Just a legend, taken too soon, and it's just really amazing that we have this place to keep remembering him by.
Still inspiring millions, a generation after he left us. In New York, Michael George, CBS News.
And we're going to have so much more for you on the 40th anniversary of the passing of John Lennon. There is a really in-depth special report section on our H&N digital platforms available right now. Just go to our homepage or on our app or Roku or Amazon Fire. You can watch our special documentary there, I Just Shot John Lennon, which looks back at some really unknown facts that led up to the killing of John Lennon involving Mark David Chapman. We got some other news to get to now, right, Ash?
That's right. Hawaiian Airlines announced ticket sales for nonstop service between Honolulu and Austin, Texas, Ontario, California, and Orlando, Florida. Service to Orlando starts March 11th with 2 weekly flights. Service to Ontario begins March 16th with 5 weekly nonstop flights. And service to Austin begins April 21st with 2 weekly flights. Hawaiian will also expand service to Long Beach, California with daily nonstop flights from Kahului. That's starting March 9th.
Wow, that's a lot of additions there. Was not expecting that. Let's take you outside. Beautiful day out there. Here's our good friend Guy Hoggy with an update on your weather.
How's it on this Tuesday? We're expecting a beautiful trade wind weather day. There is a kind of a big disturbance passing to our north. It's not going to impact our weather so much as far as rainfall, but it will push away the trade winds by tomorrow. Light and variable winds expected tomorrow. Now this morning with those trade winds, we're seeing some trade showers coming into some windward and Molokai areas. Rainfall totals will remain light. And those trade winds already picking up speed. They'll be running at 10 to 20, except of course for the Kona side of the Big Island. They will not have the luxury of the trade winds. So we'll get a beautiful beach weather day today. Nice trade winds, fair bit of sunshine, a few windward and Molokai showers. Really not much in the way of significant weather except for out in the ocean. We have a high surf advisory that remains posted for most north and west shores. The swell is holding firm but slowly dropping for the rest of the day. 12 to 16, 10 to 14. So that's dangerous for those not experienced in large surf. And then the South Shores have box jellyfish with a nice little pulse due in by tomorrow for South Shores. So trade wind weather today, light variable winds for Wednesday and Thursday, and trade winds come back just in time for the weekend. Keep it here on Hawaii News Now. We'll have all your severe weather updates.
Advertisers are changing their approach to reach holiday shoppers. Anna Warner explains.
Flip on the TV and you may see more ads like these. A girl and her grandmother separated by glass. Postal carriers, essential workers, diligently bringing the mail. A year like 2020 calls for a different kind of holiday advertising, says New York Times advertising writer Tiffany Shu.
How do we nod to the fact that everyone is still cooped up at home, people are still social distancing, the holidays are not going to look like they normally do, while also striking the balance of saying, you guys can still shop, you guys can still celebrate.
Let's deck the halls over video calls.
This Walmart ad acknowledges the current reality of social distancing and mask wearing. But not every company is emphasizing the pandemic. Take Lifetime, which is owned by A&E Networks, and KFC, for example.
Who the hell are you?
Mario Lopez is Colonel Sanders.
They're rolling out this 15-minute mini movie featuring KFC's star in a typical Lifetime made-for-TV style drama. David DeSocio is with A&E Networks.
I think the project is done with a wink. We know what the audience loves.
It's kind of a little bit of an escape.
Andrea Zamansky is with KFC.
It is about telling a bit of our brand story in a fun way.
Not all new approaches are proving to be popular. Hershey's is getting some negative feedback for changing its iconic Holiday Kisses ad. This year, it cuts to a family making cookies.
There's a lot riding on the success of these ads.
It's make or break for a lot of companies.
Shu says Hershey's later said it would run both the new ad and the conventional one, but it goes to show that advertising during a pandemic means striking a tricky balance. Anna Warner, CBS News, Berkeley, California.
I always found those bells annoying. It's just me. Tastes good. They taste really good. Alright guys, Apple has unveiled something new, and it's gonna cost you.
Oh!
AirPods Max headphones today. The company's latest over-the-ear wireless headset comes with noise cancellation and built-in Siri. They also promise 20 hours of battery life, which is very cool. It comes with a slim smart case, which helps with that battery storage. The cost, this is insane. A whopping $549
for headphones?
For headphones. I don't even plan on getting me those because I will return them and take the cash. The launch day is December 15th, just in time for the holidays.
Oh, if you lose those, man, that's a lot of money.
Yeah, and I will lose them.
Yeah, John.
Hopefully.
John doesn't spend a lot of money on sunglasses, and what's the other thing?
Watches. No way.
So.
3-day lifespan.
Speaking of Apple, Apple also announced the launch date for its new subscription fitness service, December 14th. Now, they first announced the Fitness Plus in September, saying it would be compatible with the health data tracked by your Apple Watch. It'll cost $9.99 a month or $7.99 for a year. Apple says its fitness program will feature a variety of workout videos from yoga and dance to strength training, accessible from an iPad, iPhone, or Apple TV.
I'm surprised they didn't have that already, really.
Yeah.
Because there's so many options out there.
And breakdancing, you guys, will be an Olympic event in 2024. The International Olympic Committee Executive Board announced breaking, as the kids call it, will debut in Paris. It'll be the first dance sport at the Olympics, and organizers hope it will attract a younger audience. Now, the committee says skateboarding, sport climbing, and surfing also will debut in 2024.
That's your sport.
Breakdancing?
Yeah.
Clearly.
I know you got skills.
We can be gold medalists, John.
Maybe. Cross my fingers.
And one joy of the holiday season is receiving those holiday cards from family and friends. Over 1 billion are mailed each year in the U.S. Now, despite the pandemic, consumers say they still plan on sending cards out, even if they look a little different. Here's Dan Sheneman with the details.
One sure sign the holidays are here is the arrival of cards in your mailbox. Like most everything this year, holiday cards may look a little different. 2020 lending itself to a little humor.
Just instead of Happy Holidays says, this year was fine, everything is fine.
The craft site Etsy has seen an increase of 23% in searches for holiday cards compared to this time last year. Many shops have selections that reference masks, hand washing, and even a dumpster fire emblazoned with 2020, we survived.
I do think you can nod to the current moment without being crass.
The Spruce's editor-in-chief, Melanie Berlier, says if you're sending cards, be mindful of who is on your recipient list.
This is not a year to send a holiday card that might be construed as a brag card or even a humble brag card.
Berlier says keep these tips in mind as you craft your family card. Add an expression of gratitude or acknowledgement if it's been a tough year. Include life updates rather than material accomplishments. And finally, if you use a photo, make sure your backdrop is modest.
It's just too insane. I'm like, we're having in the middle of a pandemic. We'll probably just do Zoom calls.
If the thought of mailing cards is too much this season, think outside the box.
Love the idea of, instead of sending a holiday card, sending a New Year card or even a Valentine's Day card.
Something to look forward to as we say goodbye to a very long year. Dan Sheneman, NBC News.
We're both talking, not card people.
Not sending out card people. Yeah.
I'll accept them. Especially the one from Grandma with the check in it, maybe. No, just kidding.
You're almost 40 and you still get a check from Grandma.
I know you do too. I know. You just won't admit it. And I get cookies and candy, and you're making me really red here. I know you're watching, Grandma.
You know what, though?
I'm a good boy.
I have to say, because of the pandemic, usually by this time of year I get a lot of those holiday cards. I think I've only received 2. And that's probably because people are so busy with other things.
Yeah, and it's hard to get those picture cards made, I imagine, because of the pandemic as well. So either you're going to use a snapshot of your own, you're not going to go to a studio or anything like that to get it made.
Yeah.
You guys, that's going to do it for This Is Now. We're still monitoring the latest developments with that shark incident. Look for updates. We just posted those pictures that you saw at the top of our newscast to our H&N digital platforms as well. It's being shared a lot right now on Facebook. We're going to keep monitoring the condition of that surfer and bring you the latest at 4 right here on KHNL. You guys have a safe afternoon.
Aloha.